I'm so happy you could join us today, man. This is our first one, so it's an exciting experiment for all of us. It's great to meet you. And so Chico is a buddy of mine. He's sort of like a bit of a legend in the ski community. Maine native, lives out in Colorado now for a while, and just a good friend. And so, we're doing this together.
Alex, where are you located?
I'm in Revelstoke, British Columbia.
No way.
Yeah, you bet.
That's sick.
Yeah, it's unreal. Born and raised here, actually.
So what's it like there right now? I mean, it's late October.
It's late October. I work with BC Wildfire. I'm a wildfire fighter in the summertime, and we just finished up our season. Today was my very last day on base, and we had a pretty warm, pretty dry October. Like no rain, sunshine, high temp, up until about yesterday when we got our first rain. So it's been warm and dry, and this morning we woke up to snow on the peaks, and everyone's fired up that the summer season's over. Fall's in full play here, and it's getting cold.
That's awesome, man. I'm excited for winter. We're still a little warmer, but it's coming. It's coming soon.
We're supposed to get heavy snow tomorrow night, so.
No way.
We're going to Fright Night at an amusement park, and then I shouldn't have to drive home through like 2 feet of snow, I hope.
No, that's perfect.
So I live in Vail, Colorado, Alex, and taught skiing here for 34 years. I've been out in Colorado for 40 years. I started in Maine ski racing, coaching back there. I love the backcountry, so I spend any time off in the backcountry to the point where I'm a little older now, so I own a snowcat instead of skinning. We try to get back in it and in it to win it. So sort of big mountain riding, having fun, sort of not very exposed, like not super steep, but steep enough to have a lot of fun. Yeah, that's what I'm into. Yeah, I have 3 little kids that I take back there. So I have 2 sons and a daughter, a 16 and 13-year-old boy, and a little daughter who's 10, who loves to go back in the backcountry. So it's kind of where I find my peace, and I love it. Yeah. And I've traveled through your area. Like, you are so lucky being where you are. God's country.
I know, we're very privileged up here.
I'm founder-based, obviously, but as more personal note, I'm just a lifelong skier. I board, I telly, like, if it's on the snow, I want to be doing it. I have something called rain arts, which is basically just improper circulation of my fingertips. And so gloves were always like my thing. And that was the real sort of like fire behind, like, all right, I got to find a better way to do gloves. If I go direct to consumer, we can make a better glove than anybody else out there. And, we can keep it at like a similar price point. And so that was really sort of the beginning of BAIST. I have a love for the outdoors, love for doing anything and everything in the snow. And I would always be struggling through different gloves and trying to figure out like how I could stay out longer, get one more run in, whatever it might be. It's been a wild adventure and a ride, starting from basically like just like my dad's ski instructor, like, some patrol ski instructor buddies out in Tahoe who are ski bums, and like just friends and family using the gloves and getting amazing feedback, and just year after year sort of building on that to the point where now, like, we've got like guys like you and a whole ambassador team, and we're sold like around the world and like growing every year. I'd love to start, just maybe like tell us a little bit about like your story. Like, you said you're in Revelstoke, and a little bit about what you do in the summers, but tell us about you, how you got into skiing. Tell us, who's Alex?
So I was born and raised in Revelstoke. That's pretty much it there. That's how I got into skiing. Both my parents are in the guiding industry and in avalanche safety. So my dad's an Association of Canadian Mountain Guides, ACMG. He's a certified mountain guide, as well as an avalanche forecaster for the Avalanche Canada, which is our public safety. So he's a chief forecaster for that. And then my mom also works with Avalanche Canada. They kind of go hand in hand. So I was born into the industry. My dad was guiding every winter and working on software development every summer. And my mom was a huge outdoor enthusiast, lots of firsts in the industry. So I was on skis in Calgary at 18 months old. There's great photos of me like not even able to walk on skis. And I was in the backcountry for the first time at 3 years old at my dad's backcountry skiing operation. He was the chief guide at a cat ski operation called Monashee Powder Snowcats for over 12 years, 30 odd years of chief guiding at heli skiing, ski touring, and other mechanized backcountry skiing operations. So yeah, I've been skiing my entire life. I can't remember not skiing. And I guess I've been like in the backcountry, like my first ski touring, I was 9 years old, in the backcountry each year since I was 3, and cat skiing since I was 9 as well. And then when I was 9, I started to ski with the group and go cat skiing every day. And then at 12 years old, my dad was like, okay, you're skiing faster than me, you're skiing ahead of the lead guide. He threw me at the back of the group and I started tail guiding. So I've been guiding since I was 12 years old. I'm 21 years old. It's about almost 10 years of being in the avalanche industry and working in that safety realm, which is amazing. And it's living in Revelstoke with Avalanche Canada right outside my door. I have every possible thing I can imagine for any sort of resource for safety or activity or anything right outside my door. I've also been ski racing. I've ski raced probably since I was 6 years old up until about 14, pretty competitively. We have a great ski club here in Revelstoke. I didn't quite get into fifth in the big World Cup races, but it created a huge base for my skiing and my ski technique and everything like that.
Do you find yourself thinking about that, like a lot in the backcountry, or is it more of an unconscious base that sits there?
Like my ski racing background.
Yeah, like you have this great base of technique. Like, do you ever find yourself focusing, thinking about things like that?
Totally. In the backcountry, definitely not. That's kind of where that's my creative freedom. Blank canvas sort of stuff. I do what I want. I'm not as much technique based. But when I'm skiing resort or something like that, if I'm with my friends or ex-ski racers or current ski racers, I definitely spend quite a bit of time like remembering how to carve, remember how to edge, and proper stability control and separation of my body. And it's a lot of fun. It's really cool to still have those skills and think about them consistently.
Totally. Chico's working on that stuff all the time.
All the time. In a wedge.
Yeah, I loved ski racing as a kid. You know, it was awesome. We had great coaches. It's a great community.
Do you remember that first time out in the backcountry? You said like you were 3. Is that your first ski memory, or what is your first ski memory?
I definitely remember skiing in the backcountry. I can't say I remember my very first time out. The most memorable ski memory is the first time trying powder skis. Like when I was 3 years old, I'm still little baby skis, like really soft boots and just Velcro strapped in basically into those skis. But the first year, I can't remember if I was 5 or 6 or something like that, when I got put on a pair of K2. They were a pair of K2s. They were black. They were probably a bit too tall for me, but it was a huge snow year. I needed wide skis, and I was on my first pair that was over 80 millimeters wide at the foot. So I was on 110 at 6 years old probably. And I remember that specifically. It was like grabbing those skis and like, wow, these are huge. And jumping on those after my dad's birthday, and it was like, this is amazing. I had zero control, but I was on top of the snow versus hip deep in snow.
That's an awesome memory. I feel like I know what your answer is going to be, but like, do you have any idols or inspirations that really drove your passion for skiing, outdoors, etc.?
Oh, so many. There are so many, especially living in Rebels. You see pro skiers every day at the farmer's market or anything like that. But obviously, it's got to be my dad. Like, my dad has been my number one inspiration. And he's been a pretty professional guy his entire life. We have a professional relationship, me and him. But he's always been pushing me to chase my dreams, whether it's guiding or not. And it's like, my dad is my number one, for sure.
That's awesome. I'd love to hear that, man. That's awesome.
On top of that, I'd say, like, I have other mentors in the guiding world. Like, I definitely got tired of my dad when I was a teenager, and as you know, most kids will.
Yeah, for sure.
You might be experiencing that a little bit with your 16-year-old, but I hopefully not. But there's other guys in the industry. There's a guy named Marty Schaefer. You might have heard of him, but he runs the guiding operation called the Blanket Glacier Chalet, which is an amazing ski touring lodge, super remote, no Wi-Fi, no service, nothing like that. And he's just a super rad dude. So I'd like to shout out Marty. He's been an inspiration to push me into guiding and as well push me into free skiing and doing what I love.
He hosts people there?
Yeah, he hosts people at his chalet, and then he also does private guiding through Kapow.
Awesome. Oh, wow. Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm going to jump into this one thing. I just threw out, like, basically top fives. Like, so
Okay.
top 5 things that basically you would want to bring with you to, I guess you spend more time in the backcountry, so we'll do backcountry. I mean, if you want to just make it, like, to the hill in general, like, you know, your call.
Top 5 things that I bring with me in my backpack when I go skiing, sort of deal. Well, other than the obvious essentials of, especially when you're in the backcountry, of beacon, probe, and shovel, that's a tough one. My backpack is always ever changing and always so full. I always bring miso soup. That's probably my number one.
Really?
Yeah.
I love this.
Yeah. Don't drink coffee. I do drink tea, but I'm not a big tea guy in the backcountry. But I love miso soup. Even with full-on tofu and green onions and everything like that, I'll bring a thermos of miso soup into the backcountry with me.
That's like exactly what I was like. I was hoping for something.
Something totally random, because there's so many like common things like extra layers and a headlamp or something like that. But yeah, miso soup is a big one. Let me look at my little gear wall. It always depends on what I'm doing. If I'm exploring, if I'm snowmobiling, but I almost always have like a full ball of ski straps with me, almost like 5 to 8 ski straps every single day, whether it's repairing skis or repairing boots or just to have them. Like, they are so versatile, and I use ski straps every single day, not just to put my skis together, but ski straps would probably be a number 2 for sure. That's really high up there.
I feel like anybody who's listening who's not sure, like you're talking about like the rubber strap with the
rubber
metal
strap.
Yeah, with the metal thing. People use it like, you know, if you get your skis tuned up somewhere, they'll like put them on there to hold them together. But you're using them all different ways. You're saying
100%. You can chain them together. I've used them to keep parts together on my snowmobile before. Like, you repair skis, you repair ski boots, you do first aid, tourniquet, any sort of like a full-on, like a broken bone as a splint. You use ski poles with a ski strap to create a splint. Honestly, there's like, I bring them in the summertime too when I go mountain biking. Like, they do everything.
I stopped in the middle of the road the other day. Well, actually, I pulled off to the side of the road, but there was one laying in the middle of the road, like a nice 3-footer.
Yeah,
I was like, yes, score.
Yeah, totally.
It's like you're a little kid and you find a penny.
Yeah, totally.
That's awesome.
What would be another thing? You know what? I bring my film camera out quite a few times during the backcountry. Like, it's pretty chunky, so I usually bring it out if it's a pretty chill day, or if I'm going snowmobiling. I almost always have it on my snowmobile. But I love snapping photos, just random things, whether it's of people or of zones or a pretty day. Like, I usually have my film camera on me.
For sure.
Super fun.
Yeah. What do you shoot on?
I have a Nikon F50, so nothing special. It's got automatic shutter and everything like that. I'm no good photographer.
I don't really know that stuff that well, but I know enough photographers to ask the question. That's about all I know.
Yeah. So it's pretty modern, but it's cool to have a film. It gives a different aspect to your photography, and it's different than a phone, because phone cameras right now are pretty much DSLRs. They're so high quality, so it's nice to have something a little different.
Totally, I agree. What about, I had 2 more top 5s, either top 5 places you've been, could be like anything, or places you want to go.
Top 5 places I've been. Well, that's tough. Revelstoke is like it's so hard to not just say like my backyard. We have pretty much everything, but what's technically not in my backyard, but it is only a 45-minute away, is Glacier National Park. We also call it Rogers Pass, and it is like it's mind blowing the backcountry terrain that you can get there with a free park pass. You start at 1,300 meters above sea level, and you get into some of the most wild alpine terrain, kind of part of the Rockies, part of the Monachies a little bit. It's got everything, and it's at this time and like how popular it is. It's almost a ski resort. There's no infrastructure at all, but the amount of people that it attracts every single day is up in the hundreds, if not thousands. And
Wow!
You like in a
So you're
dry
seeing
season,
people all day out there.
you see people all day, but there's so many different places that you can go to where you'll be seeing people on different peaks versus seeing people on the same run as you. I really love that there.
Have you ever been over like towards Fernie or Island Lake Lodge? Any of those places?
I've been in that area a little bit, less backcountry skiing, that was a bit more in my ski racing days, but that place is really cool. I've spent time there in the summertime.
It's good fishing, huh?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just been getting into fishing this year, and it
Alright.
got some good fish over there.
Right on.
Yeah.
The Fernie River's like super sick fishing. Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Some cool towns out there.
It's a very cool town.
hmm
What about places that you want to go? Kind of like bucket list.
Bucket list items. Well, I feel like every skier's dream is to go to Japan.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I think I know a bunch of my friends are going to be heading out to Japan in February. That's been one place where you see every ski movie and you're like, man, I got to make a trip to Japan. But one place that definitely still super high up on every skier's dream, but maybe less so, it's super intimidating, would be Alaska. I've only skied in the States down south, Hood River area, Mount Hood, but I would love
I almost
to head
wore my
up
Mount
to
Hood hoodie today.
Nice. But yeah, Alaska. My last few years living in my parents' house, I'm not sure, you guys should know Lexi DuPont. She's a pro skier, and she's from Sunshine Valley, but she's gone to Alaska every single year. And I've actually guided with her a few times with Marty Schaefer at Kapow, and I've talked to her a little bit about Alaska, and that place seems so amazing. It's such a special vibe up there. Big mountains, big terrain, huge alpine features, and that's somewhere that's big on my bucket list.
We gotta get you there.
Yeah.
It's on my bucket list now.
Oh yeah.
The three of us should go.
Yeah.
That would be awesome.
I'll carry you guys skis for you. I'll watch you guys ski.
Yeah.
Gotta get that in. It's on the bucket list.
Yeah.
So one thing I always like to ask everybody is who's your favorite either ski buddy or group?
Mhm.
And who do you have your best days with? And then why?
That's also a really tough question. Everyone in Revelstoke is, if you're not a pro skier in town, you can ski like you're a pro skier. Everyone's practically pro around here.
Yeah.
And we have such
Just to
a
survive,
great inclusive. Exactly. Just to survive in this town, you got to be pro. No, that's not true at all. But we have lots of great skiers in town, and we have a great inclusive community. I have so many friends. Not to brag, so many friends and have so many good days with so many people. But if I had to pick one or two, I'd say, to be honest, my roommate, I work with him. His name's Dan. In the summer times, we work together, we live together, we ski together, we snowmobile together as well. Super energetic man, and we have the best days. And he's a very good skier, but he is not interested in the pro life at all. And whenever we go out together, it's like we're not bringing cameras, we're not taking clips on our phones, we're not wearing GoPros. We're just out there to have fun, and we have amazing, wholesome times together. And you're not trying to impress anyone. You're with your best friends.
Yeah.
You're just hooting and hollering through the woods.
Probably end up skiing better anyway, too, right?
Oh yeah, totally. But this previous year, The previous ski season, 21, 22, me and a couple buddies, there's 4 or 5 of us, we kind of like became this little group where every Sunday we would go out on our snowmobiles, and we try to go to a different place every Sunday. And it was really nice because we're all in the same caliber of snowmobiling. We're all pretty comfortable in the backcountry, and we would go to a different place every Sunday, whether we're traveling 100 kilometers to get to one spot or whether it's right in our backyard. We had some really good times, and sometimes we'd wear GoPros, but we would just do sled laps, and we're just trying to find the best. Throughout the week, we're all like Google Maps and we're all on Fat Maps. We're all trying to find cool zones and explore different places.
So mentioning that leads to another question I was going to ask you is if you have any like tricks or tips on how you find that you're willing to share the best lines or just anything, like how do you stay warm? Anything you do to give yourself like an edge and to just sort of feel better and more comfortable? Besides packing like 10,000 ski straps.
Yeah. Well, I'll start with your first one there, how to find good places. It's like, it seems pretty intuitive, but it also takes time out of your day, and I spend a lot of time on Fat Map specifically. I've got a Fat Map Pro membership, and it's been the best purchase I've ever made. If you're not sure, Fat Map is kind of like a Google Map, but a bit more high definition with a lot more different layers specific to backcountry users, as well for summertime layers and for wintertime layers. So I spend a lot of my time in the evenings just scrolling through Fat Map as if I would be scrolling through Instagram sort of deal. Yeah, you also got to know the right people. Let you in on their secret spots if you bribe them or something like that.
Yeah. So you got to spend time at home on Fat Maps and then at the bar.
Totally. Yeah. Yeah. And then in the summertime with work, I do actually spend quite a bit of time in helicopters. Of course, my mind's focused on wildfires and actually doing my job, but when I'm ever in a extended helicopter ride, I'm always looking at where logging roads go, what kind of zones they're in, how steep and stuff. So helicopters, although a very privileged use, especially because I don't have to pay for it through work, an amazing terrain finder.
That's a sick perk.
Oh yeah.
That's so awesome. Have you taken it? Clearly, you've taken advantage of like finding some sweet drops, like a kilo in the summertime, and recollecting or fat mapping it out so that you find it in the winter.
Even with, I spend a lot of time doing that, but even just in zones, like I spend when I'm working my summers doing wildfire, we have like burn skiing is one of my favorite things to do, and if a burn happens and it absolutely nukes, then we'll like I'll pin it on my Fat Maps and I'll like kind of create lines and do some Fat Mapping during the summer. And I've gone back to burns that I worked on in the summertime, and I go back and ski them and snowmobile them in the wintertime. And it's cool.
What do you love so much about it? Yeah.
I love burn skiing so much because it's such a cool experience, because trees are generally, like, obviously they're always green, and you're skiing in tight trees, you're getting slapped in the face with branches. But with burn skiing, there's no branches, there's no needles, and with no branches comes no tree wells. So that's a huge thing, is like you can ski centimeters, inches away from a tree and not have to worry about anything, and you can go super fast and you feel like you're racing through these trees. And also you can always see your friends. You can all party laugh, and if there's 4 of you dropping into one slope, if you're confident with avalanche ability, if you're all dropping into the same slope, you can look around while you're skiing. You're like, oh, there's my buddy over there, and we're kind of racing each other. Everyone's doing different things, and it's really cool.
And with all those burned trees, you have anchors to stabilize pretty much everything, and you probably get some good whoops in there. Whoop. It's the best.
Totally. With burned areas also comes different avalanche stability. There's a lot more room for surface hoard growth and different faceting layers that happen through the anchors. So it is like you do have to take into consideration the environment that you're skiing in. when it comes to avalanche safety, but it does, if you're skiing in tight trees, there's a lot more stability through anchors, just like you said.
Nice. So is that your perfect day in the mountains?
That's my perfect day.
That's your perfect day.
Easy,
Burn,
hands down.
burn laps with friends.
Burn laps with friends.
So what do you do? You told us obviously what you do like work wise, but what do you do in the summer to like fill the void of wanting to get out there and ski and also to stay in shape and just be ready for the season?
Well, with working wildfires, I'm sure you can imagine my summers are pretty action packed. I work my job entails that I'm 14 days on and 3 days off in the height of wildfire.
15 days on, 3 days off. Okay. Wow.
Yeah. So
yeah, that's intense.
On fires. It is intense. It's a very physical job. It's very demanding, but it also helps a ton with cross training, hiking up slope, carrying heavy things. And then when we're not working fires, I still work my Monday to Friday, 9 to 5, but we are allotted each day an hour for fitness. So I work out when I show up at work. The first thing I do is we work out as a group of 20 of us for an hour.
Sick. What do you do?
We do a lot of stuff. We do a lot of fun stuff. We run a lot. Stamina is a huge thing in endurance. We have a little makeshift gym with lots of weights at our base. And the biggest thing that we do is run sleds. We do sled sprints that are weighted, and we like to have fun with them. So at the end of our sled sprint days, lots of people are puking. We got lots of music playing, and then people will be jumping on the sleds as people are running with them. And it's always a feat of strength when the biggest guys are towing 2 girls on a sled. To continue on with that, like obviously we talk about work a lot, but to fill my void, I mountain bike. I'm a mountain biker in town. I've been mountain biking probably not quite as long as I have been skiing, but I've been mountain biking pretty hard the past few years, and that's something that fills my adrenaline rush. And that's what I do in my time off. When I have those 3 days off, I spend most of that time either sleeping, eating, or mountain biking.
Nice.
And Revelstoke actually has some world-class mountain biking as well. Not only skiing, but we have some amazing downhill mountain biking, big alpine out and back cross-country mountain biking. So as much of a skiing community there is here, there's also a mountain biking community, which is the same inclusivity, if not more.
Awesome. I mean, from my perspective, like from the beginning, like I saw you and like, me and BAIST like wanted to work with you because of like all this, awesome stuff you're doing. Like at the end of the day, when I was a kid, like I was looking up to guys like you, still do really, honestly, like really living the dream. It's awesome. I'm curious, how did you initially get, hooked up with BAIST, and what interested you about BAIST, and what interests you about like other brands in general? Like what kinds of brands do you like, and what do you like about them?
I guess to start off, so one of my roommates, she's actually next roommate. She just moved out about a month ago. Her name's Janelle. She's part of the Blondes. There's three girls, and they're the most badass girls in the ski industry, I like to say. And Janelle is one of the most hardcore females. She won the Best Female Skier of the Year award last year. But yeah, so Janelle's my roommate, and she initially BAIST reached out to her for a contract, but she had prior commitments due to Atomic and different brands with North Face. And she was kind of like, when she got the email, I was sitting beside her, and she's like, "Oh shoot, like this looks really cool. Unfortunately, I can't." And I looked over at her, I'm like, "Yo, hook me up, like drop me a line." And she was like, "Okay." And I can't remember who the rep was back then. That was almost 4 seasons ago, maybe 3.
Yeah, it's probably Ashley.
I think it was Ashley. That sounds right. She's like, "Hey, like I'm literally sitting beside this kid." And I was old as I was 18 or 19 when I moved in with Janelle, and she's like, "Go look at his Instagram." And then I reached out to Ashley, and Ashley reached out to me, and we got connected, and that was kind of the start of that, and it's kind of blossomed since then, working with you guys and having support for movies and stuff like that. It's been amazing. Yeah, looking into brands and why I like working with BAIST is I've always like I'm a ski bum. We're all kind of cheap, but we're all looking for the best gear and to look the best as well. Like 50% of skiing good is looking good. Working with BAIST and working with other companies, I'm always looking to look good, but as well, like, keep my costs down, keep my costs kind of a bit more environmentally friendly as well, and be more conscious about that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, I agree with you. That was like so much of the inspiration of like, where BAIST came from and what like drives us every day.
Hey, I'm kind of curious. I want to circle back to that first day you skied POW with your dad. Like, I want to know, like, you clearly can vividly remember it. Did your dad, like, is your dad super excited? Like, I can remember when he's 16 now, he's big, he's taller than me. But I can remember the first day, like, I took him out and probably 3.5, 4 feet of powder. Like, the snow was over his head, but he floated like beautifully. I raised him ski racing, and I just kept giving him the hint to stay over the center of the ski. It's kind of like a ski racing, term. You got to stay over it, or you go face first, or you flip back, or your tips pop up. But I can remember him just staying centered and throwing big arcs and GS turns down the hill. And were you doing stuff like that for your dad?
What I remember specifically is like you said, like, I learned ski racing, like, be over the fronts of your skis, be centered, and be balanced. And as soon as I got put on those big fat skis and we were going into like deep powder, probably like 2, 3, almost 4 feet of snow, and that's a lot of snow for a little 6-year-old. I got on those big fat skis, and the tips, they're kind of like elf shoes, right? So the tips are bigger than anything else. They're wider than the waist, they're wider than the tail. So I was kind of like up on my heels, kind of riding back a little bit, and I just went straight down the hill, no turns. I was just like, this is a crazy feeling, and I just went straight down the hill, met up with my mom at the bottom of the slope, and I was like, let's do that again. She's like, what do you mean? You didn't do any turns? And I was like, I just want to go straight and fast. And that's something I've kept every year. It's pretty funny. I make a point of doing at least one day a year of going out to a big line, finding something kind of remote or something like a good achievement to have, and skiing it completely straight, no turns. And it's always kind of a fun joke that me and my buddy John have. Is just like we'll spend 4 or 5 hours touring out to one peak and find a face, and he'll do some huge GS turns, and then I'll drop in and just go straight down the middle of it and make big dollar signs through that slope.
That's so
awesome.
cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Annual tradition
Of one straight line.
And you bring some
$1.
miso soup.
Yeah, miso soup, of course. Miso soup at the top.
Miso soup, of course. You need a shirt that says that.
I would love that. Maybe I'll get on that.
Awesome, man. Well, I mean, it's been awesome to like get to know you and like just to understand like where you come from and what you're into. We owe you at least something if you have any. If not, like, just so appreciate the time, man.
Yeah, man, this has been sweet. I don't really have any questions off the bat. I love that this has just been kind of a conversation. I appreciate you guys and appreciate the work that you've been putting into. And I do have, me and my buddy Logan, we made a ski film this past season. There's going to be 2 other guys in it, and it's obviously supported by BAIST and you guys. And we all appreciate that so much. And it's coming out this November 4th. We're really excited to see it. I haven't seen it. Called No Sunscreen. Logan, my filmmaker, said it'll make sense when you see it, and I think that's because it's just deep POW, no sun needed. So yeah, thank you guys for this time. This has been awesome. I'd be happy to do it again.
Awesome.
Get you guys out to Revelstoke sometime.
Yeah, dude, that'd be great.
Yeah,
that'd be great. I mean, all got to go to Alaska. All right,
Good
man.
to meet you, Alex.
Good to meet you guys too.
I hope to
Thank
see
you.
you in person someday.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Let's make that happen.
Right on.
Yes, sell enough gloves. We'll get a whole, massive ski trip going with everybody who's been a part. This has been like BAIST has just been it's been like a team effort. There's just so many people like Chico, Alex, like both you guys, others as well that have just like done their part. And one day, we'll get those trips in and it'll all be worth it.